G'day. Today I am working with a fresh install of macOS on M1 Silicon, and I want to install Conda onto my computer to run Python. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go over to Conda's website, search for Miniconda install, and I'm going to select the macOS installer, 64-bit, and particularly I'm interested in the Python 3.8 version. So I'm just going to get that download started, and then I like to check the hash value as well. So I'll look up the instructions for how to get the hash of the file. And then once we have those instructions, just pop open a terminal and calculate the hash for the file that was just downloaded. And it's pretty simple to do. I just forget the syntax of how to do it. So it's not too hard to look it up. It'll pop up asking if you want to allow access to your downloads folder, especially if this is a new account. And then you just enter the command for performing the hash function on the file. And then you can compare the result of that to what Miniconda lists or Conda lists on their website. I usually just compare the beginning and the end of the hash, but you can also look in the middle and just make sure that it's the right hash. So once you've confirmed that it's the correct hash, go ahead and install it. You can pick whether you want to install for everybody or just for me. For this account, just for this account is fine. And it's going to run and install. It should run pretty quick. Okay, once it's finished, it's also going to say, hey, can I have access? You can allow it to have access, and then you're done. You can close that and move the install to the trash unless you need it for some other reason. You want to keep it around. And here I'm just going to see if I can find Conda. But I think what's happening here is you need to close the terminal and reopen it before it'll recognize or allow you to use the newly installed Conda application. So you find that it's working and list out the environments, and now you can create a new Conda environment. If you don't remember the commands, Conda has a very good article on managing environments. One of the first commands there is creating an environment with a specific version of Python. I use that quite a lot because an application I'm working on might require a certain version of Python. So I'll create an environment for it using that particular Python version. In my case, I'm just creating a new environment called Jupyter, and then I can activate that environment. Of course, let's see if I can get this right. Yes, got it right that time. Oops, misspelled that. And now we've activated the new Jupyter environment. It's pretty quick to create a new environment. In this case, the environment is empty. So now that we have it created, we're going to Conda install pip and setup tools. And it's telling us what's going to be installed. We select yes, and it downloads and installs that stuff. You can see the version of Python there. I didn't specify which version of Python I wanted, so it actually picked the latest version, which you saw there was 3.95, which means I really wanted 3.8 for my particular application, so I'm going to have to remove that that whole Conda environment and do it again. You can see there I've listed the Python version and it says 3.9. So again, if you can't remember how to remove an environment, the documentation has that. Just scroll down right to the end until you see removing an environment. You can just copy it or type it out. Of course, you can't remove the environment if it's still running, so you need to deactivate it first. I'm going to mess up the command here. You got to conda deactivate. Right, now that you're in base, you can remove the environment. It's going to ask you to confirm, obviously, because you don't want to do anything stupid like I did. So what you want to do now is find the instructions for creating the environment with a specific version of Python. So I'll just up arrow until I get to the conda create command, and then just add Python equals 3.8. And that will run pretty quickly as well. It's going to install those packages, including Python 3.8, which is what I want. Awesome. So now I can activate that environment again. And install, if I'm, pip install, conda install, but they're already installed. So now I just need to install Jupyter. You can see there it's Python 3.8. Again, I often forget what the instructions are or the correct syntax for installing, so it's easy enough just to search for Jupyter conda install, and then you can just copy it. In this case, I'm going to use Jupyter Lab, but you could use Jupyter Classic Notebook. It's very similar instructions. Just copy that. All right, maybe I'm using Notebook here from Conda Forge, not Lab this time. And it installs pretty quickly. Once it's installed, you can run it. You can list the packages and just make sure that Jupyter is in there. But Jupyter Notebook will get you going straight away. Okay, we got to activate the Jupyter environment first in a new terminal, and then Jupyter Notebook will start the Jupyter Notebook server, And on Mac, it opens, yeah, it opens a new window in Safari. Great. So there's the new Jupyter notebook server running on M1. It probably, without all the mistakes, it probably take 5 minutes, 8 minutes. It's pretty quick to get up and running. And that's pretty much it. Let's see what else is here in the video. Shutting down the server with Control-C. Yeah, the last part of the video here, what I'm showing is if I need to install other Conda environments, I can do that. I just need to make sure that I use the correct Python version that I'm looking for. That's one of the reasons why I particularly like Conda, is I can specify which version of Python to use for each virtual environment. I believe there are some other virtual environment tools that allow you to do that as well. But for Conda and what I've become accustomed to, this works really well for me. So that's it. That's all that there is here. Thanks for watching this video. Really appreciate your time.